Hey guys, what's up? Hope you're doing great and awesome. So in today's bonus episode, we have ourselves with Sakshi Dapan. The only important thing that you consider is that there's only one Sakshi Dapan in the entire world, where wherever you search, okay, you will find only her. And this is something that she said, okay, I didn't. So you guys can definitely go check out her content. It really means a lot to me and to her as well. And in today's episode, we actually dealt with a lot of stuff regarding LinkedIn marketing, content writing, content creation, and all the stuff. And more importantly, in today's episode, I actually talked about my own personal story on how I kind of actually started my podcast, why I started the podcast, and everything. And if you guys have never heard of about this, then you can definitely check this out entire episode where I talked about in the last section. I've talked about like why I actually started the podcast and how I actually did it. And by the way, this is the final episode. I mean, final bonus episode of the Clean Express show. In from next onwards, there will be like different show, like a different sector itself. Like for example, how am I doing Clean Express show? There will be another different show with a different name, and there we will going to be having different set of people like this, like digital marketers, models, entrepreneurs, and all that stuff. So that will be done by another person, and it's still on the confirmation stage. Like it's still on the process. So once that's done, I'll let you know about it, guys. Until then, check out this final episode of Squad. It will really mean a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Cheers.
Hey Sakshi, first of all, thank you so much for coming on to the show. It really means a lot. And so please tell a bit about yourself and your journey in this digital marketing so far.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeffrey, for having me on Team Westpillars. About my journey, I went actually into the content writing thing back in college. I graduated in 2018. That time, somebody told me that if you can write like decently, okay, companies can pay you and you can earn pocket money. Now I was like, okay, that's a cool thing. I mean, who doesn't want to have 2,000 bucks while in college? I mean, I wanted to. So I went ahead and applied for content writing internships in Internshala. I
Hmm.
applied for around 40, 50 internships and I got like back to back, back to back. I did that only for one whole year. So
Hmm.
that's when I got to earn some money also, and that's when I made my first trip, and that's when I got to introduce about this whole world of content. Once my graduation ended, I took a full time job in 2018 only. And that's when I discovered that beyond this content thing, there is a world called digital marketing,
Hmm.
which is like a whole lot of new thing, which is like very creative, very innovative, and something that really interested me. I mean, I was
Hmm.
very fascinated by all of it. So that's when my content writing thing changed into content marketing, then social media, and now I am like full time into it going on, and like it's been 2 years for me in terms of full time job. But then when it comes to like digital marketing, I am mostly passionate about and mostly work for content marketing, which like involves all around content strategy and consultancy and creation and all of that. And the second thing that I am really interested about is like the campaigns, the
Hmm.
content marketing, the marketing campaigns sort of thing, which performs really well. Now, again, I have a fancy for it, but I am very new in this sort of thing. So this is an area which interests me, and I'm trying to, learn more about it. Apart from it, I do provide like people consultancy about LinkedIn branding. So whoever
Hmm.
wants to grow their personal brand on LinkedIn or generate leads from LinkedIn, I help them out with that. So this
Hmm.
is basically what I'm doing in a nutshell for now. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's great. So, like I said, you were actually working on LinkedIn and all that stuff. And recently, everyone knows that LinkedIn
Yeah.
actually launched the stories as well. And which actually you kind of told
Yes.
me to do a list of stuff, but unfortunately, so sorry. And it came right after the time you said it. Just they kind of rolled it out for everyone. So I kind of literally I thought, I mean, like it's a lot of work. So I thought, okay, should I do it?
Yeah.
Because literally I'm like the laziest guy in the entire world. But still, I just want to try it out. And then after that, when I kind of came to know that people some people actually was trolling LinkedIn stories because they said that what's the reason for LinkedIn stories that are having, I'm like, what's just another Facebook stories, and the people putting out their stuff and everything. So what would you actually suggest is LinkedIn stories will be anything different from Instagram or Facebook or whatever? Because obviously people might expect professional content, but I actually seen someone who's having like around 90,000 followers was posting something about their kids playing baseball. Like they will play something called catch, like they play and all the stuff. So obviously he's having 90,000 followers. Obviously someone would be interested to see it. But if someone's who's starting out, how can actually they will be able to leverage LinkedIn stories? And also, how do you think that it's going to be different from social media other than Instagram and all that stuff?
Now, let's talk about the difference first. Now, when it comes to the difference between LinkedIn and Instagram or LinkedIn and Facebook, it's not specifically for stories, it's for the audience in general.
Mhm.
Now, it will be different in terms of the audience. I mean, I do not like Facebook, I'm not even active there. I personally like, not in terms of just brand building, but for personal use also. I don't do Facebook. Like I do have an account if you go and check it out, but I'm not at all active there. So I'm only active on Instagram, both personally and professionally, and I'm active on LinkedIn. Now, how it's different is for the audience. Like, see, the story feature is same. You get to upload anything you want. But then if it comes to Instagram, you are catering to a different kind of an audience. If it comes to LinkedIn, you are catering to a different kind of audience. Now, something that would work on Instagram like really well doesn't guarantee that it will work that well on LinkedIn also, because
Mm.
the mindset of the people on both the platforms are very different, and what they're expecting out of you are different as well. So,
Mhm.
like when you are browsing LinkedIn, you come across this kind of post saying that LinkedIn is not Facebook, LinkedIn is not Facebook. So that is one part. But I think that way it will be different. Now,
Hmm.
when it comes to the second part that you asked, how can one leverage LinkedIn when they are starting up?
Hmm.
Now, I would say LinkedIn stories are, I would say, a different section of LinkedIn that anybody should leverage in terms of showing their authentic real self.
Mhm.
Now, I will not go and upload my pictures or like my everyday selfie that I usually do on Instagram, like, oh, this is my laptop, oh, I'm working, oh, how's your weekend? Uh, like, I do it on Instagram, but I cannot do it on LinkedIn over the post because of two reasons. First is I don't really feel comfortable doing it, or because it's I just feel something professionally very wrong doing that sort of thing. Like
Hmm.
I'm not talking about once in a while, but frequently if I'll do it, I feel very you know I feel kind of wrong. Uh, Second thing is that when you upload pictures on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
the LinkedIn algorithm does not promote it. I mean, the LinkedIn algorithm does not support picture sort of a thing as much as they support text. So for that two reasons, I will not do it. But ever since the LinkedIn Stories has been introduced, what newbies can do is that they can show that authentic, that real self of them, which will help them connect better. It's kind of a personalized touch that they can give to their professional platform and their professional audience. Now, one thing that I feel is very helpful in terms of LinkedIn story feature is that every time you see somebody's story, even if you have never interacted before, even if you are just connections and never really engaged with each other or know each other personally, when you see their story and you relate, even if at 2% or 5% level, you can just click on reply and say, send an emoji. So that does not take much of an effort from your end for beginning a conversation. You begin a conversation by doing that, and you get yourself noticed for that. So yeah, that's one thing.
That's great because one of the reasons why I always was put LinkedIn stories as a question is that I kind of heard in one of the LinkedIn stories I saw the story saying that why LinkedIn has actually uploaded their stories. So we can probably
Hmm.
see who are all the ones that are ghosting our post. So for example, if in case I posted something and I have around 200 or 300 followers, I mean like you are having around 5,000 followers. So let's say for example that posting something, and you can probably see who are actually literally give a damn about what you're actually posting instead of just liking and everything. Because literally I sometimes even though I don't read, sometimes the post I kind of like and everything, I just kind of do that. I don't know why. Sometimes my classes would be going on, I don't know how to distract myself, so I kind of put Instagram on lock, Facebook on lock, because I would be surfing like the whole entire stuff. Sometimes they ask questions in the middle, so I have to stay alert sometimes in the middle. So I would be liking everything. So I guess probably we will clearly understand who are the ones that are ghosting. So
Yeah.
that metric can actually affect a lot of people. So that will clearly affect a lot of mentality of the people. So do you have any suggestion on how to overcome it? Because if you are seeing like 100 likes on a
Yeah.
LinkedIn post, and you are seeing that people who are actually seeing your stories are just 6 or 7, what would you want to tell those people who are having those mindset sort of stuff?
Sorry, last sentence.
Like, what would you want to tell to those people who will be thinking like, I'm not getting that much traction, maybe I'm getting likes, maybe my post are actually reading it, but still people are liking it. So what do you want to tell to those people to have like proper mindset regarding that?
See, first of all, it's very. I don't think it's very common to find that somebody is having like of 100
Hmm.
and their story is only getting 6 to 7 views. Because I have like 6K followers. I 1K I got last week only. So currently I'm sitting on 60 followers, and on an average I get around 100 to 200 likes on
Hmm.
an average. Okay? Now, when I upload a LinkedIn story, its views are around like 250 to 300.
Hmm.
Now, even that is also the case for Instagram stories, I guess. It's either equal, or or the stories are like more than your post.
Hmm.
That's what I think. Now, if I mean, there will not be that much difference between 6 and 100. There can be 60, 100, there can be 100, 120, but
Hmm.
6 and 100 is like extreme. So I don't think that's even possible. Now, for the people who are not getting much traction, in terms of stories or in terms of posts, what you were asking?
In terms of stories.
Okay, so the people who are not getting much traction in terms of their stories, the same thing. They have to build relationships. Now,
Hmm.
why would somebody look at your story if they would be interested in you? So why would somebody be interested in you if they either know you, they either like you, or they either kind of wants to know what you're doing, or they're like motivated by you. So for that, you have to build relationships. You have to talk to people. You have to engage with their posts, and you have to like make yourself visible, put it out there, and
Hmm.
that can only happen by your regular posting of content on the post through the post. For only doing story, it will be a little difficult.
So coming on to the next one, you said that you were actually helping brands and you also help people in order to get their leads generation out of LinkedIn. Now tell
Yeah.
me one of the biggest rejections that you actually faced when it comes to lead generation and how you actually overcame it.
So, is it in terms of just lead generation from LinkedIn, or lead generation like in general?
In LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the worst when it comes to like rejection. It's just straight on to face. Instagram people won't even reply, but LinkedIn people see, then they won't
Yeah.
reply. So yeah.
Okay. So there was this one person who approached me through LinkedIn, and he wanted to get he wanted the whole 360-degree services, which include paid marketing as well as organic growth and personal branding. Like it was
Mhm.
kind of a package thing. Now I don't really find these sort of things alone. I have like people, and we do it together as a team. So what I did is we followed it up with him, and the follow-up process went for I guess 15 to 20 days. Okay,
Mhm.
first I sent him a proposal, then he replied, then we again got on a call, then he. So this whole process was a really long one. Okay, this took a really long time, and we really thought he is interested because he had some bad experiences before, and he wanted somebody professional in his own words. And according to him, freelancers or the people that you get on LinkedIn are more professional than the people you get over Instagram or Facebook or any other platform.
Mhm.
So that was his like outlook. So he had a lot of complaints from his past experiences and all, and we tried to resolve all of it. He also wanted, and I would say that in those 15 to 20 days, I gave away a lot of ideas. Kind of, I would say I what I do in my consultancy for a paid for like what I do for a paid consultancy, the kind of messaging or the kind of strategy that I give, or like the brainstorming that we do, we did it in the span of 15 to 20 days because I thought, okay, he's gonna close. But then
Mhm.
after 15 to 20 days, I don't know when the final presentation happened, the final quote I sent it to him, and he was kind of okay with the quote. He did not negotiate much also, but then it's been I think a few weeks, and I have not heard from him. So this is worse because it's kind of a wastage of both the parties' time and energy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are not, I don't know, I don't know. I think if you're not interested, आपको, you get to know it in the beginning only. Like in the beginning of a few calls, you don't settle
Mhm.
for 15 20 days and then get all the ideas out and then make all the strategy and then get all, and then you say, like then you don't even say, you ghost. So that is the worst that happens. So that is
Yeah.
one thing that has happened to me. Yeah.
I guess it's just the one of the things that I actually don't like about when I'm kind of doing, like, say, the freelancing editing and all that stuff. And the one thing I actually kind of don't like it is that when they don't want to say no, why can't they just say no? I mean, like, still, even
Oh,
I mean, like, sometimes I get the vibe of saying no, yes, but still I'm kind of like, whenever the pessimistic situation happens, I'll be optimistic. Whenever the optimistic situation happens, I'll be pessimistic, like the worst case scenario thinker, let's say. So that's why I always think, okay, maybe sometime possibility it may happen or everything, I will think. But so, like, I too kind of had a client from LinkedIn, and we kind of sent, like, we had different calls and everything. And I never actually kind of I have another editor who kind of actually works with me. I never actually liked the way of giving hope. Like, I would say, I said to him that the project might come, bro, so these are all the stuff that we need to know and all that stuff. But and after that, when the client kind of backed off, I was like really hurt, because it's not like I didn't get the client or anything. I don't know how to say that to my friend, like, bro, sorry, we couldn't get the job, because he was really excited than me. I don't like people, I don't like really like making people excited. It's really, I don't like, like, bringing them the expectations of everything. So I guess one of the things that I always never liked is that you clearly know that it's not your budget, you clearly know that it's not in your range, because obviously you can definitely find someone else. I would definitely say to it, if someone doesn't require
yeah,
my services, I say, you find someone else. There are many people. I mean, like, it's not like I'm Ambani, and she's like whoever the other entrepreneur is. It's not like we're going to fight over it. It's just someone else grow,
yeah.
that's all. I guess probably that's something that no one ever says, and sometimes I get really frustrated on that. Sorry. So yeah.
I mean, it's very easy. It's very easy to get somebody who will work cheaper,
Hmm.
who will work cheaper. Especially in India, if you're doing a job, or if somebody is working for you in 50,000, there will be 10 people ready to work in 30,000, 40,000, 20,000, even 10,000.
Hmm.
So that does happen. But then the quality decreases,
Yeah.
and it depends upon you what you are actually looking for. The responsibility part decreases, accountability part gets missed out on. So there's a lot actually. Depends upon the client. We can't really help it.
Yeah, and it's not just about the skill that we have. For example, if you're doing content writing, it's not just about the content that you write. It's about how you actually communicating with the client. You should make him angry, saying that you can't say this to me at this time. I will be only available at this time. You can't say this to every single time. It's all about, like, client experience, and what's the client is saying after that and before that,
Yeah,
in the middle, and everything and stuff. So that's why we are charging a lot, but still people don't give a damn about it. They will say that just for the work. Let me know. And it's just an enjoy. So I guess probably we can we can skip this, this stuff, because it would take longer time. It's like, it's like a husband, like,
yeah.
telling about his wife to someone else's, or the wife telling about his husband to someone else's. That's how the situation actually kind of goes every single time, I guess. So
I
uh,
think,
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, no, nothing. You
Yeah,
continue.
go ahead. What do you think? I would like to know.
No, no, I was just about to say that this is the flight. This is the plight of not just like usual freelancers like you and me. I think this is the plight of every business out there. It's just
Hmm.
that for those businesses there are like a team, a set of sales people doing all of that. But
Hmm.
then at the end of it's the same thing for every business, small or big.
Yeah, probably. We are still in the smaller business. I mean, even if we go to the top, I guess how long we'll survive. So yeah, let's see about that. So another stuff I want to ask you is that, how do you actually, persuade people to be? Sorry. Okay. So sorry, this is a kind of something that I actually kind of went through on LinkedIn. So how do you actually kind of trend a particular hashtag? So I'll tell you one my experience, that I kind of had a podcast with Agnes Billick. Okay, she's a podcaster, and there was this one post I posted, and it wasn't like high quality of editing and everything and stuff. Still, it kind of got trended on LinkedIn. And the next kind of post I kind of had really high quality stuff, editing, sound, everything was perfect, but it didn't. Even the content was really good, it didn't. So how do you actually make sure that a post is actually kind of trending on it? Because every single time when I see notification, they will say that your connection, Sakshi's post, people are reacting to it. So just see to it. And I will be like, why my post
Yeah.
isn't going to someone else's? So that's my question. Tell me about it.
Okay. So there are two things. Like
Mhm.
the one part is the trending part, and the second part that you say that people are reacting to Sakshi's post, that is the different thing. So both
Mhm.
of these things are different. So when your post is trending, you get a notification. Your post is trending for the hashtag content strategy,
Mhm.
and this is a different thing. Now I'll talk about the first. So if you want to trend your post for hashtag, I will say do not aim for it because it's useless on LinkedIn. I mean, my 5 or 6 posts were trending like 2 to 3 months back. Back to back, my posts were trending on LinkedIn, trending on LinkedIn. I have a screenshot. I took a screenshot and I uploaded also. But then I figured out one thing that it's not about. I figured out a few things about trending hashtag posts on LinkedIn. First of all, these hashtags won't give you like massive reach or something. Your reach remains the same as it will be without it, and your engagement remains the same as well. Okay. Now you get this notification when you are a new user of LinkedIn and you are creating content, because LinkedIn wants to push you. They
Mhm.
want to give you a motivational factor that okay, you're doing something good, so that you look at that notification and it means something. Oh, my post is trending on LinkedIn. So that is for, while looking at it, you will create more posts. So it's basically a psychological thing that LinkedIn plays out with you. And beyond that, it's nothing. I mean, it's not just my saying or my experience. If you like, I have seen so many posts from my connections, like saying, talking about the same thing. I'm not even sure. I mean, imagine you like when I started out, my posts were going like trending back to back. Now, when that time I did not even have 1500 or something followers, and I'm sure my content quality was not as good as today, or even same. At least it
Mhm.
was not worse. That I can be very sure of. So now that there are more people reacting to it, there are more people engaging with my content, and I'm doing it consistently, LinkedIn won't trend my post. So I think it's more of a psychological thing to push out new content creators on LinkedIn. So do not aim for it. I mean, it really doesn't bring anything much rather than a notification that okay, your post is trending. Now comes, let's talk about the thing. People are reacting to Sakshi's post.
Mhm.
So I get notification about a few of my connections that people are reacting to XYZ's
Uh,
post. People reacting to this post. But the thing is that you don't know na, if people, if LinkedIn is not showing the same notification to others or not. How do
yeah.
you know? It's not that LinkedIn will come and notify you. Okay, I just notified your connections that people are reacting to your post. LinkedIn won't tell it to you, so
Yeah.
you don't know if they are doing it or not. So the best thing is that do not aim for such kind of things, because literally it doesn't matter. What you want to aim for is creating content, engaging with people. If you want to generate leads, build a personal brand. That's all, and things will happen like at its own pace.
Hmm. Yeah, because like you said, it's kind of LinkedIn pushes you for when putting like trending hashtags and all that stuff. Because
Yeah.
when my hashtag was trending, like my post was trending on that particular hashtag, I kind of took a screenshot of it and I posted it on WhatsApp, Instagram, every single way possible. I kind of did it. I mean, like I was on top of the moon literally because that's the first time happened. Then only came to know. Then okay, I thought maybe one or two leads might come out of it. Then I kind of actually saw a post where that guy, I think you I think someone commented that post. I don't know whether it's you or someone, where there was a post and that post got viral, and that guy said that I got this much of views, still how many leads that I got? It's zero. It's completely zero. So I guess probably trending is just another psychological stuff that every single business do in order to put out more content, like how reels, Instagram reels kind of they kind of shifted this search button from below in order to go to the
Yeah.
top. That's really really how to say, how rude move. That's what I would call a really rude move. I mean, like it was every single time I would go to click that particular place in order to search. It clearly understood the mindset of the everyone, and it kind of shifted it. So I guess that guy really is an amazing guy, I guess, probably. So So I just want to ask regarding this one of the posts that I saw on your Instagram, and you kind of actually have people on live to talk about some stuff regarding marketing or anything or those sort of stuff. So how do you actually persuade them to be on live? I've never been on live, but in case if someone wants to persuade someone else, either because being on live is kind of
Yeah.
like you have some people seeing on the time itself, chats coming in, questions coming in. So what's your thought on that? How do you persuade people in order to come onto your live?
Okay. So you don't have to persuade people as such. The
Hmm.
thing is that you don't want to aim for people who are doing far greater than you. You want to aim for people who are doing equally good as you are doing, and you have something in common that will be beneficial to both the parties. So when it's
Hmm.
beneficial to both the parties, you don't have to persuade somebody. If it's beneficial and they can see that it's beneficial and growing, they want to grow, then they would definitely say a yes to you. Like currently, I put a poll. I think two days back, where I asked people, "Would you want to go live with me?"
Hmm.
So in that poll, 20 people said yes. Now among those 20 people, I don't want to go live with 10 people because they are not we are nowhere connected. Okay, now
Hmm.
somebody is writing shayaris and all. I It's just not cut out for my audience first, and
Hmm.
it's not something that I want to associate myself with in this particular platform in my brand I'm aiming to build. So when it comes to it, I will not aim for those people. Now let's talk about the rest of the 10 people. Now these 10 people said yes because we have something in corporate. We have something in common. It's about the marketing thing. They are trying to build their personal brand. They are trying to grow. They are trying to gain visibility.
Hmm.
In the same time, I'm also trying to gain my personal brand. I'm trying to grow and I'm trying to build my visibility.
Hmm.
Now, if when both of us are trying to build our visibility and grow our personal brand, what happens is that you see, okay, their audience might benefit from me, and my audience might benefit from Sakshi. So, in when that will happen, people will definitely say yes, and you don't have to pursue it. Now,
Hmm.
there comes the second part where you want to reach out to an influencer to collaborate with.
Hmm.
Now, suppose I want to conduct an Instagram live, and for that, I'm reaching out to somebody who is having 10K to 15K followers and massive engagement. People are engaging in the post and they're doing really good. Now, when it comes to that, when I go to their post, and then I will have to do the persuasion. I
Hmm.
mean, why somebody, as if they do not know me personally, or if they do not like my work like so much to go live with you, or if I pay them, then it will be very difficult. So if you're trying to grow, I will not suggest or recommend somebody to go and persuade someone who is like at a massive height than yours. Rather than collaborate, partner up, reach out to people who are as like similar stage as yours
Hmm.
and who will benefit. So you have to think if they will benefit or not. If you think they will benefit, just reach out to them. Don't think that much. Once you reach out to them, I'm sure in 8 out of 10 people will say yes if they like your work. Then
Okay, so let's take for example that I want to collaborate with you regarding. So I want you to come on to my Instagram live to talk about in LinkedIn
yeah.
marketing, for example. What would you think? Would you actually say yes or would you actually say no?
So when it comes to you, like
Hmm.
really you, I would say yes. I would say,
What's
let
that
me tell
really
you
you?
why I would say yes. Yeah, let me say why would I say yes. So
Hmm.
currently, uh, I would really want to invite somebody who is doing a podcast.
Hmm.
Now you are hosting a podcast, and podcast is also a kind of a content. Okay,
Hmm.
like if I am into creating written content, you are into creating like audio sort of content, audio visual content.
Hmm.
So I leave the audience thing aside, I personally would want to invite somebody who is a podcaster. I mean, why not? We are
Hmm.
trying to do the same thing, just in our own different ways.
Hmm.
So that is one thing. Secondly, I would assist you because my audience will get to know, a little about, will get to learn a thing or two about your podcast journey.
Hmm.
Okay, so that is if I invite you over. Now, if I go to your, like, if you invite me over on your Insta live, like, if I go to your Instagram live as it is, so that time also, the people who you have did your podcast with, I'm sure they are some kind of either freelancers or agency owners or B2B businesses or there are some kind of people who are keen on growing, because
Hmm.
if somebody is on somebody's podcast, there is 100% chance that they are keen on growing something, either their personal brand or their business or anything, like indirectly. Like nobody is that free that I, without any objective, they will go on people's podcast. So I would want to be there, because I am very sure that if your audience is keen on growing, which I'm sure they are, then they will benefit from what I'm offering. And what I'm offering
Hmm.
is Indian marketing. So that's my fear. And that's how you think both ways.
Yeah, I guess because I kind of interviewed there was this person, two people I kind of interviewed earlier. One is Sabnam. Okay, I think you probably know her. I guess if you search for her contacts, you will definitely know her. So another one is
I
called
I think I have seen her profile. Yes.
yeah, and Vidhi Tarad. So two persons. So I have actually kind of
Okay.
interviewed them, and they had many posts regarding this collaborative, like two persons in the carousel image they would be having. So I was really intrigued, like what is happening. Maybe some collaboration is happening, yes, of course, but I mean, like
Yeah.
what sort of collaboration? So they said that one would be taking the content out, another one would be designing it.
Yeah.
So
Designing
probably
it. Yes.
yeah. So every single time they said that, I was really intrigued. Like I've never actually tried it out because for me I was more into like creating stuff, and my Instagram page is all about experimentation, because I never actually gave a thought about followers or anything. Mostly I would like how sort of format of videos can I create, what are the format of different sort of designs that I can create, because it's kind of a showcase for me and also for my client, and I show it to them. Okay, so shall we do this and shall we do that? That's how I roll. And so then I started like for like around, like I guess now I have three shows. So this one, the Teen Whisperer, and another one is like You Go Man Why Me, which is in my native language, which is Tamil, and
Okay.
another one is like Sex and Everything Else, and it's kind of like relating to sex, relationships, and all stuff. I think is we still haven't started. We are still trying to reach out to guests, because in the Indian context of this one, it's really really hard. Unless until you are like really a big guy who want to talk to about your marital life and all that, people would be open to it, but not to not a random stranger, they won't. So probably we are still moving forcefully on that. Yeah, you're about to say something. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. What are you trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. So if you are not able to reach out to Indian audience, reach out to international audience.
Yeah, we've done that. So we're kind of scheduled for 2 to 3, like what to say, guest, but still we still kind of, I don't know how we're going to collaborate, correlate that with the Indian context, because in US talking about this is not like a taboo stuff, but in India, if we even talk about modeling, it is like a big stuff, because I kind of had really 2 to 3 models on my show as well, and they kind of said that it was really tough to come on. But sometimes it's easy, because if you have, only thing is you need someone to back you up every single time. Maybe it's a parent or it's a model coach. So I think that's the major point when it comes to this correlating that sort of context with the Indian context, because it's really different. I mean, like even if you're another third world country like Africa or anything, you can easily correlate it. But in India, it's impossible to correlate, and especially if it's in state, it's impossible to correlate.
Yeah. You're right. You can get international audience, but then only international audience will be able to correlate to.
Yeah.
I mean, their parents are very open. Their whole
Hmm.
family is very open. Plus, they stay in nuclear families. Most of them don't even stay with their parents after 17 or 18. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very normal thing out there. But here, it's a very different kind of a scenario. So even if you will be having international guests, Indian audience won't be able to like relate much to it.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah, still we're thinking. So that's one of the reasons why we kind of thought of having specific topics that's kind of, no matter what, things that will affect the relationships and everything. And because I mean, like one of the interesting thing is that my co-host, he doesn't, his parents doesn't actually know. His parents doesn't actually know that he is kind of also doing this sort of stuff, because they're so orthodox. My parents, I mean, like I would tell them, even if they say something, I mean, like just go and do it, please, just leave me alone. So that's I would say. I mean, like I've been like, trust me, only when I actually kind of came into my undergraduation, I clearly came to know the world is really big. Until then, I was like school, home, school, home. That's all. That's what my entire life was. So I guess probably it would be great on that as well. So one question I want to ask in the middle, like it's kind of like totally irrelevant. So I guess you are in India as well. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of need to. So the question is, who was the last person that you actually made smile today before me?
Okay. Before you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a meeting before this meeting, half an hour before, and so the concept of this meeting is that you get to meet people
Mhm.
whom you don't know personally. Okay, so it's arranged by a third party. It's a totally professional platform where they can ask you like, what are you looking for? Like, for me, I just wanted to talk to people who belong to same industry
Hmm.
and who are doing similar things as mine, not same but similar things as mine, and who can maybe share their experience so that I get to learn. Basically, it's a meeting where you get to talk about your professional experience.
Hmm.
So I had a meeting, and the person that was set to meet with me was also happened to be my LinkedIn connection. Now that was very coincident, and we have been seeing each other in our feed like for ages. I won't say ages because I have been active for like 3 to 4 months only, but for ages in those 3 to 4 months,
Hmm.
and we never got to interact with each other. But today I learned a lot about her. She learned a lot about me, and we kind of related to the same thing. So I think that is the last person I met smiling for this thing that I'm currently doing.
That's good. That's good. Because this question was kind of asked to me by another podcast guest, and I literally kind of I had no idea what to answer literally, because the whole day,
Okay.
that whole day, I was like literally on my room, just closed. I was working all day. I was sitting in the laptop for 8 hours straight doing something, and still the content that I kind of edited for 8 hours, I kind of deleted it afterwards itself. I didn't even export it or even. I just deleted it for itself. So it was a hectic day for me. I didn't even make anyone laugh, and no one make me laugh as well. So I was really mumbled for that particular situation. So I guess that's what I kind of ask this every guest, because I just want to know how they're actually impacting others' life and how others are actually impacting their life. So it's kind of that. Wait.
Also, if
So
you have to make somebody smile, you just have to
sorry.
audible.
Yeah.
Like, am I audible now? Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
saying, even if
Mhm.
you just have to make somebody smile, you just have to like, if you're staying with your family, I don't think it's even an issue. Like it happens like automatically.
Yeah, unless if you are like around 25 or 26 and they want to talk to you about to death about marriage or how what are you going to do next in life, then yeah, probably it would be funny stuff. But I'm not 25, 26, by the way. I'm not. I'm still doing my MBA right now
Okay,
in my second
how?
year. Yeah, I'm just doing my MBA in second year, and I don't know, like this COVID stuff and everything. It's just the only thing I want to that I really care about is now like getting a job after that. Of course, I have my freelance stuff and everything still. It's kind of like, even when I tell my mom that I want to start have a startup, I mean, like, I have the money for it. I earned it, so I have the money for that's not a problem. But when I say that, my mom would say, so it's not like a job, so you won't like having paid salary, so how will you earn the money? And I was like, I will have clients, ma, and I would do this and do that. So the only thing she'll repeatedly ask is that, would you have fixed salary? That's the only
No,
question
no,
that she would.
that's not.
Yeah. It's definitely not
Now,
possible. Hmm.
yeah, it's not possible. I agree, but see, at the same time, I feel it's like, do you have work ex before MBA? Like, do you have any work ex like corporate full
Yeah,
time job?
so not a full time one. I've been freelancing for a year or two probably right now, it's editing and all the stuff. I mean, like, I literally have done a lot of work. I would say not in a full time one, but I've done only one internship. But working on
Okay.
myself and working with other creators like all over the world, like Canada and US, Singapore, and all that stuff. I worked with a lot of people, but that's what I would say. But I've actually worked a full time stuff ever.
Okay, then if that's the case, then maybe to make your mom happy and to gain the experience, you can just work for some time, and then, like, I'll tell about myself. What I did was, I have set I have set like a bar for myself.
Hmm.
Like, I did try to do things. Like, I'm 22 right now,
Hmm.
and I started working since 2018. I graduated, and ever since I've been working. But then in between, before the job that I'm doing now, I was working for a few months. But then I was so keen on starting something of my own, I just left it. And my family was like, okay, you want to do something, okay, don't do something.
Wow,
You
you're
have an
blessed.
issue, it's on you. So I was like, fine, I do it. Now, when I went on doing it, I realized that I am not mentally mature to handle stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, when you do your own thing, it's not about doing the work.
Yeah.
It's about doing the whole thing that goes behind that work.
Hmm.
Talking to clients, pitching them, and then getting the work done from your interns if you have them, and you will have them. Otherwise, you can't function alone. You
Yeah.
can't just do everything alone. And if you would want to, you will go mad, and things won't go your way. So
Yeah.
when I had a partner also, I had a partner as well. So we could not do great together. Like our coordination was very bad, and we were not even able to agree on the same little thing also. Like when
Hmm.
it came to the color of the website, we won't agree. Now it was a very huge it was a huge problem. So what I realized was, in those 2 to 3 months only, the time was not very long, but then in those 2 to 3 months only, I realized a lot of stuff that I do not have maturity in terms of not the work but the other things to handle things. So probably I should work for a few years
Hmm.
and get myself a really good job, do great at my job, and get promotions, with it or whatever it is, upskill, and make your family also happy that yes, you're doing things. And then on the side, you do your own thing. That's what I've been doing. I'm actually happy with the job that I'm doing right now, and I don't plan on leaving it until I've set a goal for myself. I start making this much amount, which is kind of twice than what I'm making right now. So if
Hmm.
I reach that path, then I will start thinking whether I should leave my job or not, and only when it is affecting my business. If it is not affecting my business and I'm able to pull it off, then I won't. So that is like my plan. But I'm sure in the long run, like 3 to 4 years, like I have time. So my time is running away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for that, I'm like kind of just enjoying things, taking at it's coming. So yeah.
Wow. I guess probably yeah, I kind of have the plan as well, but it's just I don't know exactly how to say it, but it's just, if you have a plan, a great plan like this, like the great, not a great plan, like a detailed plan, simple one. After college, work on
Yeah.
this, go to this place, have fun, then start your own thing. And also, if you have this great plan,
Mm.
and obviously this, I mean, like for now, it's we are saying as COVID because it's kind of having worldwide. But obviously, for every single person's life, something would happen that's not as big as COVID, but still small to screw up your own life. That's obviously would happen sometime
Yeah, yeah,
somewhere.
that's
Yeah,
the
it's happened.
that's the
But
life. You can't escape it. There is no escaping. There is no escaping your personal COVID. There is no escaping it. You can't like run away
personal
from it.
code, I like that. I kind of actually kind of put it in some sort of format in the content, I guess. And I'll just note it down. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Awesome. So great. So just one final question before closing is that what would you actually give as a best tip in the whole world, according to you, in order to be to in order to generate more leads, or being a great content writer in your field? What was the best tip that you actually give to the fellow audience?
Okay. So the best tip that I would give you, whether you are an agency owner or a freelancer, or if you want to start your own thing, is make yourself visible. Your own person, this person sitting right here, make it visible. Once
Hmm.
there is no uh, thing called successful, but you can have your own version of successful in terms of followers, engagement, or the leads that you can generate. But have yourself put out there, because when people begin to recognize who you are and they begin to trust you, your face, your tone, your voice, and your work, things will automatically get better. Now,
Hmm.
when you want to like put yourself out there, what I'm meaning is building your personal brand. You can't do it without consistently putting out content. No matter who you are, no matter what you want to do, even if you want to grow in my field or like field similar to mine or any business for that sort, it like works wonders for any business out there. Get the owner famous, the business will get famous.
Awesome, awesome,
That is
awesome.
one thing.
So, guys, you've heard it. And it's actually just another thing is that in case if people want to find you or your services regarding anything, what would be the best place to do so?
Okay, so if you wanna find me, just like I'm so blessed. I'm so happy that my mom gave me this name, Sakshi Darpan. There is only one Sakshi Darpan in Facebook. on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Okay.
Wow.
So, and there are 3 to 4 accounts on Instagram named Sakshi Darpan. All of those accounts are mine. I did it only for testing purpose because I have been this very weird kid, tested so many things. Don't follow all of those accounts because half of them are inactive. Just search Sakshi Darpan, and the first account that you will get, which has all my professional things, the carousels, and I'm usually active. It's an open account. You can find me there, or if you go on LinkedIn, just search Sakshi Darpan. The only result you will get is me. So that is the easy, and I would want you to find me and connect to me because I am launching my free LinkedIn masterclass like very soon. I'm like preparing for it, and I am trying my level best to put it everything out there, which will help you in which will kind of give you a direction towards your LinkedIn journey. So yeah, find me there.
Great. And guys, I'll give you the links in the description as well, so you can go and check that out. And if you want, and yeah, like she said, she's actually kind of launching her free LinkedIn masterclass, so it's free. So yeah, I guess we kind of had to put that word out there a lot because people would be afraid to do so after listening to the podcast. I'm like, oh my god, here's another sales. No, it's free. So please go and check that out as well, and mean a lot. And Sakshi, is there anything else that you want to ask me?
Yeah, sure. I would want to ask you why and when did you start podcast?
When did you start my first podcast?
No, like yeah, when did you when and why did you start podcasting? Like whenever if this is your first podcast, maybe this one, or like whenever you started podcasting.
Okay, so I kind of started it
Yeah.
last year. It was originally started around what was that? Yeah, it was only started on May 2019. Okay, it was around that time exactly. I don't remember the date, but it was on May 2019, and I've been doing it ever since. And I've been around like having 78 episodes so far. So that's my show. That's the Teen Whisperer show, and kind of changed the name a lot. First, I had like Jeff Talk Show, then I had Broadcast Bhubadi, then I had Jay Very Talk Show, and finally I had the Teen Whisperer show because I kind of it's kind of having a podcast for podcasters. So that's one sector of my show. Another sector is I explore a lot of people. So from Monday onwards, I'll be segmenting it totally into 2 different shows, which will be done by another one of my host, and she kind of like the podcast mentee, I guess. I kind of teach people like how to start a podcast, the marketing, and all this stuff for free. Because I've never done it before, so I just test it out with a few people. So, and one of the reasons why I kind of started the podcast is that can you have any guess? I'm just curious. What guess do you have? Why I started a podcast?
Honestly, I don't know you at all. Like
Just
this
have a
is the
guess.
first time I'm talking to
Just
you.
have a guess.
Why would somebody start podcast? Maybe to talk to people. They like networking, get to know other people's stories. I would start a podcast. I'll tell you why I would start a podcast if I ever do one. Is because I want to reach out to founders and people who did something good, like not even good, like did something that I can learn even a little from, and otherwise they're not reachable. Like if I go to somebody like, hello, I want to just talk to you and get the knowledge you have, they will be like creeped out, like who is this person, why is she coming to me, why is she approaching me? But when I go to this, sir, I have this podcast and you will be featured as a guest, they will like, oh wow, I'm in. So I will start a podcast for that reason. Tell me your reason.
Oh. Seriously, you are a high class thinker. I have to appreciate you on that. So why I started the podcast is kind of like it's like every college boy's tragedy. Some college romance didn't work out. Okay. That's all. So then I kind of wondered, like, for after 2 months of depression, I wondered like what to do next. Then I saw this Instagram ad of Gary Vaynerchuk. He was saying that about Anchor and everything, and I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. I mean, like, I'm kind of fond of bringing out the stories of people. I don't know why. I kind of always fond of that. So I kind of wondered, like, okay, let's start one. And I had this really, really bad phone, which battery was popping up. Okay, just battery was literally popping up. It was about to explode anytime. I kind of recorded my first episode on that, and one guy agreed. His name is called Omkar Sahu, and he's a really amazing one. He's an entrepreneur in Delhi, and he accepted and he went on to the show. And I've been doing that ever since. So I guess it's kind of literally a bandage to my heart so that I can literally, talk to people and say about, oh my God, this happened, why. So it's kind of that. I kind of went in, but I never actually told them these kinds of stories. But the thing is,
Yeah.
the only thing I kind of came to know is that there are tons of people who literally have these stories. That's one thing I came to know.
Yeah. Also, I'll tell you one thing: if you
Mhm.
find somebody who does not have these kind of stories, and there are very little chance that people don't have this kind of stories, but there are that I can vouch for. These people are missing out on the major thing of life. You should be having that story, man. If you don't have that story, why are you even existing? You
Yeah.
have to have that story. I have that story. My friends have that story. Like everybody I know, I have that story. But a few odd
Mhm.
people don't have that story, and I won't say I judge them, but I feel bad for them because they have not experienced it. They have to experience it. That's
Yeah.
one thing.
And of course, not going too much into it, I guess, probably. But that my only thing is that, so I kind of had that, then it just sort of went in. Then I really had no idea I was starting a podcast. I never actually read like how to start a podcast or anything. I never read anything. The only thing I did was I kind of went in, just downloaded Anchor and just DM'd a ton of people. One guy accepted and just went on. Then when I kind of got my first gig through podcasting, okay, one guy actually asked me, can you edit me these videos? And I told him, okay, sure, I can do that. Then I kind of got paid around $100. I was like, what? So I ended a lot of this much amount of paid. So for $100, for it wasn't, it was really a lot of amount for an Indian to receive, I would definitely say that. So I kind of, okay, then we can start doing this. I mean, like, I've never pitched the podcast guests straight away because they obviously knew about my services before, and I kind of have a tactic of putting it in the right direction in the middle, so that, I mean, like, I would say this literally, like, I have stuff and everything in the middle. So I kind of had this here and there, and I had some amount and all the stuff. So I guess, long answer short, to have a bandage off my heart, and to have adrenaline to my brain, I guess, probably.
Okay, so this is a nice story. I think you're doing very bad by keeping it like locked away from the people who know you on Instagram and LinkedIn and everywhere. You have to put this story out. I'm telling you, if you because I'm whenever I'm going to talk about this podcast thing,
Mhm.
whenever you will like publish it or even before, I don't know. Like anytime I'll just talk about this a person who started a podcast after his breakup. Okay,
No,
so
the thing
this
is,
story is very good.
it wasn't breakup. Okay, that's the thing. It wasn't breakup. Okay, it was just one-sided.
Okay, then
It was a half
Acha,
girlfriend
okay,
story.
so
It was a half girlfriend story. Okay, I would say that.
I would just name it heartbreak.
Yeah.
But people can assume later. Uh, so people need to know this story that a
Hmm.
guy started his podcast after having a heartbreak. This is the modern way of mourning a heartbreak. So people have to know the story. So you have to put it out there. I don't know how and why, but you have to just like believe me, and this thing people will love it.
Okay, I'll cut it. I'll cut out this part
Yeah.
as an IGTV, then I'll post it. Then you can share it. Then people will obviously know what stuff that's actually going on.
Yes. Like obviously, like share it with me. I'll just put it out there. People need to know the story, man.
Awesome. So, guys, thanks so much for listening to this podcast, and thank you so much, Sakshi, for being an amazing guest. Really means a lot. And guys, for everything that she mentioned, I'll give the link in the description below, so you can go and check that out as well. And if you guys want to connect her, so you can do so. And if you guys have any questions relating LinkedIn or anything, just DM her. She definitely reply, and because she replied to me, so obviously she would reply to everyone. Don't worry about that. So, by the way, if you guys have any doubts, let her know, and I'll see you guys next podcast. Thank you so much, Sakshi. I'll see you guys soon.